Amir Khan, and just a little bit later this hour, Lakers head coach Redick said Thursday he's hopeful that LeBron James and forward Rui Hachimura will be eligible to return tonight against the Bulls. James has been out since their loss to the Celtics back on March 8th because of a groin strain. The Lakers then lost 3 in a row before winning 3 in a row before losing to the Bucks on Thursday. Here's Tim Bontemps.
LeBron is questionable to come back tonight and play 2 weeks after suffering that groin strain in Boston against the Celtics. The goal for the Lakers has just been to survive what's been a very difficult schedule, having to play a couple games against both Denver and Milwaukee, having 6 games in 8 days as a result of some rescheduled games because of the fires back in January. And the fact that the Lakers were able to hold serve, get through that stretch at 500 and stay in the top 4 spots in the Western Conference, that's a huge win. The Lakers want to get LeBron back, whether it's tonight or in the next couple days, healthy, have him ready to go for a stretch run that's going to feature a lot of difficult games. They have one of the most difficult schedules down the stretch, and then position themselves to stay in that top 6, potentially in the top 4 spots to get home court advantage in the first round and try to make a deep playoff run.
Thanks, Tim. And the West is wild right now. Here to break it down, NBA analyst Quentin Richardson with us here in Bristol. Great to have you back. Also, senior Anscape writer David Dennis Jr. So, David, let me start with you. When LeBron comes back, ideally, what do you want to see from him?
Well, I want to see a team that prioritizes his long-term health because they have hellish playoff run that they're going to have to get through. Because right now they're going to have to focus on 2 things. One, LeBron has to be a defensive anchor as he was before, but he cannot put too much wear and tear on that body. Go back to 2019 when he injured that groin back then. He was out for 17 games. They brought him back. He was not himself. And then eventually they had to shut him down for the rest of the season. You cannot afford that if you're the Lakers. So you have to have a cautious ramp-up process because the playoffs are going to be when you need them the most.
Yeah, I agree right there, man. I think LeBron, as we all know, he's more in tune with anybody in the world with his body. So I think if he's going back out there, he's pretty ready to go. So, I just need to see him get up and down and just go well without, any limping or any type of setbacks tonight. As long as he's out there, I'm pretty confident in LeBron James. He's in tune with his body. He knows what he needs to do, and he's been playing the game forever. So it's going to be like riding a bike. Once he gets back out there and he sees he's healthy, everything else will just fall into place.
Yeah, he's got a great relationship with Redick, so obviously there's going to be a very honest dialogue, right, going back and forth between the two of them, right, about what he can and can't do. Let's talk about another huge injury, though, Q and David, out west, and that's Steph Curry. So he is out for tonight's game for the Warriors, a hip contusion. He suffered it on Thursday. MRI did come back negative. That's the good news. He's set to be reevaluated on Monday, but he's not going to play tonight in Atlanta. We do know that. So, Q, they're in a dogfight to try to stay out of the play-in. What do they need to do in the meantime until Curry's healthy?
Right now, you just ride Jimmy Butler. This is the best thing that you got him for. Like, he was there to fill in those non-Steph minutes when Steph subs out and the team was struggling before he got there. Now, with his he just had a triple-double last night. This is what they need from Jimmy. Jimmy is capable of leading the team, and we know how he gets when it gets close to that playoffs. He turns into a different type of dude, and that's who Golden State really, truly needs to show up right now while Steph is out so that they can hold pace and try to keep their position in the playoffs.
See, look, me and Q, all we do is agree. We got to find something we disagree on because we on the same page with this one, too. This is why you bring Jimmy Butler to this Warriors team. If this injury had happened in January, December, I would say the Warriors are dead in the water because they cannot do anything without Stephen Curry. But Jimmy Butler added to that lineup, added to what him and Draymond are doing defensively, which is terrorizing teams up and down the court. And then you have Kuminga, who is just coming back. This team is prepared for these times when you need Steph Curry and he's not playing. They can stay out of the play-in if those 3 guys in particular play the way they've been playing these last few games.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's been so additive, really, in terms of everyone stepping up their game as well. Yeah,
he came and he brought us a confidence. They now believe that they can win and they can compete, and you see that with them out there on the court. And Jimmy, he kind of emanates that when he's out there. He has the confidence and the bravado, and he has a tendency to give that to his teammates as well. So.
Yeah, this is his time of year, isn't it? But right now they're 6th in the West. They're only 1 game ahead of the Clippers and the Timberwolves. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
Hello, Lakers Nation. Welcome into the LakersNation.com podcast. I'm Trevor Lane, and it's game day. Lakers, Bulls tonight, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And We've got some big injury report news to talk about on today's show. I want to preview the matchup a little bit as well. Lakers Bulls, it's a little bit trickier than you might think. So I want to get into that matchup as well. Plus the standings. We had some very surprising results last night in the Western Conference that have changed a lot about the standing situation for the Lakers. So I'm going to get into all that on today's show. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you subscribe to the LakersNation.com YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications as well. All right, here's what I'm most excited about. This is it. I talked about it a little bit yesterday on the YouTube channel. Oh boy, the Lakers injury report. Take a look at this. That's right. Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, for the first time since they both went out due to injury, they have been upgraded to questionable for tonight's game. Sounds like there is a decent chance not one, but both of them are returning to the Lakers tonight. Now, again, questionable does not mean definite, does not mean they are back. What we're looking to see now is an improvement, a bump up from questionable to probable. It may not come till really close to game time. It could come middle of the day. We don't know. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a bump up to probable, some type of indication that they are indeed going to play. But this is big, that both guys are now being bumped up to questionable. We could see them back in action. Now, on the downside, Gabe Vincent downgraded to questionable for this game. Did play in that disastrous outing against the Bucks, but he is now questionable with left knee injury management. So the potential is here for Rui and LeBron to come back, but maybe Gabe takes a night off here tonight against Chicago. By the way, come join me tonight, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, youtube.com/LakersNation and playback.tv/LakersNation. Be hanging out, watching the game, doing a little play-by-play, reacting, taking your questions, your comments, all that. Come hang out with me tonight during the game. It's like a party. It's a lot of fun. Come hang out. All right, and then moving on from there, Luka, Dorian Finney-Smith, Austin Reeves, Jared Vanderbilt, all probable. Welcome back. Welcome back, Luka, DFS, Reeves, and Vando. So there is now Maxi Kleber still out. We should be getting pretty close to an evaluation of Maxi, and we'll get a sense of whether or not he can return before the end of the regular season. So that's coming. That it should be coming in the next, couple weeks, I think? They said 8 weeks from when he first arrived in LA. That's what Maxi told us. So let's see. That was right around like February 5th. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So we'll see on Maxi. But otherwise, this could be the healthiest we've seen the Lakers in a while. If everybody, all the people who are questionable, all the guys, Gabe, LeBron, Rui, and then all the probable guys play, this could be the healthiest that we've seen the Lakers in quite a while, which would be fantastic news. Now, the Lakers are right now, as I'm recording this, they're a 10-point favorite tonight against the Chicago Bulls. Would have to imagine that probably is something to do with the injury report, right? Given that the Lakers, it looks like they may be having everybody back. So the Lakers are a very heavy favorite for tonight's game. Again, I think tonight's game is actually somewhat tricky, but I'm going to get into that in just a moment because the Chicago Bulls team, they're not toothless. It's not like they're not a dangerous team. They can be. Not all the time, but they can be. And so what I want to get into is what we need to see from the Lakers in this game tonight. But before I get there, again, I do need to go over the Bulls side of the injury report. And unfortunate here, Lonzo Ball will not play. Injury and illness, dealing with a wrist injury. I was hoping to see Lonzo get to play back in LA. Ayo Dosunmu is also out due to Lonzo is just injury, left wrist sprain. Ayo Dosunmu is out due to left shoulder surgery. Kevin Huerter is listed as probable for the Bulls. He will play for them and probably start. But Trey Jones is questionable to play in this one for the Chicago Bulls. So Chicago, they're missing a few pieces here, not necessarily their key guys here. Like if Kobe White was out or something, that would probably slide the line quite a bit. Nikola Vucevic was out, that would slide the line a bit, but that's not the case. But Lonzo Ball, Ayo Dosunmu, Kevin Huerter, probable, Trey Jones, questionable. That's somewhat significant on the injury report for the Chicago side. So that's what we're looking at right now for Chicago. Otherwise, a relatively healthy Chicago team that the Lakers are going to be seeing tonight. Now, before I get into the matchup, I did say that we saw some craziness in the Western Conference last night, and it has changed things in the West. Take a look at this. So the Western Conference, the damn Rockets, I'll tell you what, they just keep winning. Miami had the lead going into the fourth quarter and then could not hold on to it. The Rockets win the fourth 24-18 to win the game by 4. If you watched the game like I did, it was a very frustrating watch coming from the side of wanting the Rockets to finally lose a game. But the Miami Heat, it felt like every shot they took was just in and out, in and out, in and out, and all these opportunities just slipped away. And the Rockets escape with yet another win. The Wolves got the win over a blowout victory, 40-point victory over the Pelicans. Not a surprise. The Wolves are just a much better team than what the Pelicans are right now. And the Thunder blew out the Hornets. Okay, again, no surprise there. The Mavs got a win over the Pistons, which in theory could have bumped them back up to the 10 seed in the Western Conference. But the Suns got a surprise win over the Cavs. The Cavs, I feel like the Cavs have just taken their foot off the gas at this point. Once their win streak came to an end, they're like, okay, let's just start the playoffs. We're going to coast across the finish line. They're already the 1 seed in the East. They're not going anywhere. So the Suns picked up an important win for them. But here it is. Oh, man. Thank you, Portland. The Blazers beat the Denver Nuggets and beat them badly, 128-109. And on top of that, the Clippers crushed the Grizzlies. The Grizz are really starting to struggle here without Ja Morant. So if you're doing the math in your head, what does this mean? Well, this means the Lakers, without playing a game tonight, have moved back up in the West. Look at that. The Lakers are the 3 seed. And we're starting to get a little bit of separation here. And this is part of why it's so important that the Lakers win tonight's game against the Bulls. The Lakers right now are the only team in the West with 26 losses. Remember, this time of year, we pay attention to the loss column. The Houston Rockets refusing to lose. They've won 9 in a row and are sitting stuck at 25 losses. Someone put a loss on the Rockets already. The Lakers are going to see the Rockets 2 more times this season, both of them home games for LA. But the Lakers at 26 losses, the Denver Nuggets now at 27 losses. They slide down a spot to the 4 seed. The Memphis Grizzlies at 28 losses. So that means the Lakers have 1 game of separation between them and the Nuggets. They have 2 games of separation in the loss column between them and the Grizzlies. They have 3 games of separation between them and the Golden State Warriors, who are 9-1 in their last 10 games. And then they have 4 games of separation between them and the Clippers, who are suddenly on a 5-game winning streak, including tonight's victory for the Clips over the Grizzlies. And then you've got 5 games of separation over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And here's the cool thing. It's not really like when I say the Lakers have a game between them and the Nuggets, that's not really what it is, because the Lakers, every team I just named, the Lakers have the tiebreaker over. Now, why the Nuggets jump ahead if they're tied in losses with the Lakers? Because right now the Nuggets have played more games than the Lakers have. So they've got 44 wins compared to 43 for the Lakers just because they've played more games. The Lakers will catch up, obviously, by the end of the season. But the Lakers hold the tiebreaker. So that's like an extra game. If they're tied with the Nuggets, the Lakers win that tie. If they're tied with the Grizz, they win that tie. If they're tied with the Warriors, they win that tie, and so on and so on and so on. Now, part of that is because they are the Pacific Division winners right now. The Lakers hold the lead in the Pacific Division. Certainly the Warriors would like to track them down and beat them and try to take that spot, because that is a pretty big deal in the tiebreaker situation. Because if you have, let's say the Lakers play Team X 4 times and they're 2-2 on the season, well, then you've got another tie. Well, the next tiebreaker would go to if it's a division winner against a non-division winner. And in the case of, say, the Lakers and the Nuggets, it's the Lakers are a division winner and then the Nuggets are not. So the Lakers win that tiebreaker there. If it's not that situation, if it's, say, 2 division winners that are tied with each other, then what you would get it would go to, if the 2 teams are from the same division that are tied, you would go to the division record. If not, you would go to the conference record. And the Lakers have a pretty good situation in both of those. They're 12-3 in their division, which is very good. The Houston Rockets, unfortunately, are 13-3 in their division there. But and then meanwhile, the conference record for the Lakers, 30-13, which is the best in conference record in the West, second to the Thunder. So Any team not named the Thunder, the Lakers have the best conference record. So anyway, the Lakers are in very good shape when we're talking about tiebreakers. They're in good shape here in the West. The question is, can they get up to the 2 seed? And the other point that I've been making a lot recently, it's that if you look at the Lakers away on the road, they're 15-8. They're the only team in the playoffs, not play-in the West, that have a losing road record. Meanwhile, their home record is phenomenal, 28-8. It was 28-7 until that game, but they punted the game against the Bucks. So they've got a great home record. They have the 3rd best home record in the NBA. Now, as a lot of Lakers fans have pointed out to me, a lot of these road losses came with players missing, and that's true, and that's fair, but the record, it still is what it is, and I do think we see this team tends to have a little bit extra at home, and so I do wonder if the Lakers decide, you know what, because we're so much better at home, because we are the 3rd best home team in the NBA, that's a big deal, if they do push to try to get as high in the standings as they can and have home court advantage for as long as they can. Remember, if they get up to the 2 seed, they at the very least have home court advantage through round 1 and round 2 of the playoffs, at the very least. So maybe there's something to shoot for there for the Lakers as we head into the final part here of the schedule. 13 games remaining for the Lakers. Here is the schedule that they've got right now. Chicago tonight, again, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And then Orlando coming up on Monday. That's going to be an early one. So that'll be 4 o'clock Pacific time. Then you've got another early one against Indiana, 4:30 Pacific time. Then Chicago on the road. So you play Chicago twice in about 5 days. Then at Memphis, obviously big one there. You've got at the end of this month here, beginning of April, you've got games against your direct competitors in the West, teams that you are vying for playoff positioning with. These are the important games. These count double effectively. Memphis, Houston, boy, that could be a big one. Golden State, 1, 2, 3. Memphis, Houston, Golden State. Good thing there's days off between all those. None of those are back-to-backs. The Lakers do still have back-to-backs on their schedule because that's the way the NBA schedule makers have it this year. They were not kind to LA. Didn't help, too, that the Fires postponed some games. But then they go Pelicans. You go Thunder twice in a row. I don't know who Thunder will be playing at that point, if they'll still have guys on the floor, if they'll go all out or not. Then you're at Dallas, second night of a back-to-back, but I have to imagine there's going to be a lot of emotion in the building. Will be interesting to see if Anthony Davis is back and playing for the Mavs at that point. Then this could be the big one, April 11th, the second to last game of the season against the Houston Rockets in LA. Have a feeling that game could ultimately decide seeding in the Western Conference for both the Rockets and the Lakers, or perhaps some of the other teams as well. And then the final game of the season at Portland. Portland has shown they can beat anybody. Again, they beat the Denver Nuggets tonight. Portland got the win over Denver. Now, again, Denver's been dealing with injuries lately, but still a surprise that Portland beat them, and just a sign that, if you don't take Portland seriously, they can beat. So the ideal situation for the Lakers would be to be locked in by the final game of the season, whether you're the 2, the 5, the 4, whatever seed you are, be locked in by the final game of the season and be able to rest players up in Portland. All right, so that's the current situation. Again, the Lakers moved up in the standings last night despite not playing, thanks to the Portland Trailblazers. That gives them the 3 seed. If the playoffs were to start today, we would have Lakers Warriors in round 1, and Adam Silver, boy, he'd be grinning ear to ear if that happened. I don't think that's necessarily the best matchup for the Lakers. I think the Warriors are playing some of the best basketball in the West right now. But again, I also feel like I would pick the Lakers as the favorite ahead of every single Western Conference team not named the Thunder right now. I would pick them as the favorite. And Houston presents some problems. Houston's offensive rebounding prowess has presented some problems. And I'm not saying, look, this ain't the East. Every team can give you a real fight. This is not the Eastern Conference. Every team can give you a fight and present challenges. But if the playoffs were to start today, it would be Lakers, Warriors in round 1. That's where, maybe there's even more incentive to try to move up to the 2 seed if you can. So that's where those 2 games against the Rockets will really matter, because you do that, you get up to 2, and then we're talking about maybe it's Lakers Clippers in round 1, maybe it's Lakers Wolves. I'd rather see either one of those teams than Golden State. Once again, not to say I'm not confident in the Lakers, not to say I don't think the Lakers can win it. I would pick them as the favorite over anyone not named the Thunder. I'd pick them and I won't say they can't beat the Thunder. They can. They just wouldn't be the favorite. but I would pick them as the favorite against anyone else, not named the Thunder. So it's not a lack of confidence. I just want the team. If I can have a series where I think the Lakers can finish it in 5 or I can finish it in 6, I would much rather do that than a series where, oh, damn, Steph Curry got hot and now this is a 6 or a 7-game series. I'd rather the easier path, more rest for the guys, less opportunities for injuries, things of that nature. Stuff matters. Stuff matters in the postseason. Hell, look what happened with the Boston Celtics last year. Those damn goons in green, they got a bye, the first bye in NBA history through the Eastern Conference playoffs. Didn't have to play anybody. Everybody in front of them just got hurt. Now, no, they didn't. They did not, in fact, get a bye, right? But it was all but a bye because everyone in front of them, I mean, dropped like flies. Everyone was just incredibly injured. But anyway, I think the Lakers right now, they're in a good spot. It would be helpful if the Rockets would lose some games, but they can control their own destiny. The Lakers can, if they want the 2 seed, they can go get it. They can control their destiny in that regard because they do have 2 games coming up against the Houston Rockets. So 13 games to go, and we'll see what the Lakers have. All right, let's talk about this matchup against the Chicago Bulls. Again, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time tonight. Come join me live on the YouTube channel as well as over at playback.tv/LakersNation. This matchup, the reason why I say this is tricky is because the Chicago Bulls have actually been playing pretty decent basketball over this recent stretches. So Chicago right now, they're kind of stuck in no man's land in the East. They are the 9 seed. They're 1 game up in terms of the loss column on the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have lost 10 in a row. They're in free fall. Yikes. Good Lord. Miami is big trouble right now. But Chicago, so they've moved up to the 9 seed in the East. But it's not just that Miami has been a disaster. It's also, look at Chicago over the last 10. They're 6-4 over the last 10 games. And you look at the teams, they haven't had the most difficult schedule, but they're also just kind of winning games. Like, you look at who they're playing. All right, they got a win over Sacramento. It's a 12-point win. Like, Sacramento's not terrible. They're not bad. It's not like a win over OKC or something, but that's not a bad. They lost to the Phoenix. Okay. They beat the Jazz. They lost by 3 to Houston, only 3. That's not bad. I would have picked Houston to win by more than that. They beat the Nets. They beat the Pacers. They beat Miami. They beat Orlando. Oh, all right. Nothing that impressive there, but still, you got to go and compete and win those games. They lost bad to the Cavs. They lost to the Pacers. They beat Toronto in OT. They lost to the Clippers. So they've picked up some wins here. Not all of it's not like they're beating the top tier clubs, and this is part of why the Lakers are a 10-point favorite. But how are they doing it? How are they 6-4 in their last 10? Why is this team able to get a win over Sacramento? Why is this team able to get a win over Indiana? Why are they able to get a win? Even Orlando, whose offense is completely sputtered. How are they getting wins over these teams? Well, there's a couple things that Chicago's doing. And again, whenever we look at a team like this, I'm never doing this to showcase any kind of fear of the opponent here. Again, the Lakers are the 10-point favorite. The Lakers should win this game. The Lakers should get out there, especially if the Lakers have everybody back. They should get out there and kick their asses. Plain and simple. But we need to understand, what is it that the Lakers need to be on the lookout for in this matchup? If this is going to turn into a closer game, how is Chicago going to make it a closer game? So that's what we're looking at here right now. The way this works, and what Chicago has been doing, I want to take a look at the last 15 games to get a sense, especially since they made moves at the trade deadline, trading away Zach LaVine, like some big foundation shifting moves, right? So how are they doing it? So let's take a look here. Chicago, one of the things that they're doing is over the last 15 games, they have been a very high volume 3-point shooting team. That's one of the things they do. They get up a lot of threes. And there's actually some things in here statistically that I think are very, very promising for the Lakers. But Chicago does get up a lot of threes. Are they a great percentage team? 34.8. That's a little bit below league average from 3, but they shoot 41 of them per game. Our Lakers right now sitting there 40.5 3-point attempts per game, but they're shooting at a better percentage, 36.7% over the last 15 games. But Chicago, high volume 3-point shooting team. And when a team shoots that many threes, if they happen to have a hot shooting night from deep, that can be a problem. So that's something to keep an eye on in this one. Chicago, the other thing that they've done a really great job on is controlling the defensive glass. They're not giving up offensive rebounds. So they're not allowing a lot of second chance scoring opportunities. They're doing a really good job controlling defensive rebounds. And that matters not just because they're denying second chance scoring opportunities for opponents, but it also matters because of what they're doing when it comes to their scoring off of missed shots. See, they're not a high turnover team. They're not a team, and by when I say that, I mean their opponents don't turn the ball over a lot. The Chicago Bulls right now are not forcing very many turnovers over the last 15 games for their opposition. And this matters in a big, big way because it's telling you how they're scoring. They're 25th in the NBA over the last 15 games in opponents' turnovers. They are not forcing live ball turnovers. They're not forcing dead ball turnovers. But what they are doing right now is over the last 15 games, the Chicago Bulls are number 2 in the NBA in fast break points scored. So again, we go back to that defensive rebounding dominance that they've shown. What is happening is when opponents are missing, they're getting out and running. They are sprinting down the floor. And we just saw the Denver Nuggets, who on the season are the best fast break points scored team in the NBA. They're 4th over the last 15 games. We just saw the Denver Nuggets do this to the Lakers. Every missed shot was almost the equivalent of a live ball turnover because Denver was just sprinting down the floor and beating the Lakers down the court many, many times. And JJ Redick, that was one of his point of emphasis going into the game against Denver. So Chicago, expect to see more of the same. Expect to see Kobe White and Josh Giddey, who's been a big part of their rebounding. Expect to see those guys flying down the floor, and the Lakers defense is going to have to be very, very aware. And this is also where the Lakers offense is going to matter a lot, because when a team is scoring so many points, they're getting 20 points a night just by running off of missed shots. When they're doing that, what you've got to do as the Lakers, you have to be very focused on not just getting back. We tend to think, oh, the team's really good in transition. We just got to make sure we get everybody back. No, that's part of it. But the other thing is you need your offense to operate very efficiently. How do you stop your opponent's fast break? Don't miss shots. Sounds very simple, right? But if your offense is operating at a very efficient level, you are going to effectively nerf the Chicago Bulls' own offense by making them play in the half court. So that's going to be very critical in tonight's matchup as well, that the Lakers, on their own offensive end, they're knocking in shots. And this is where it gets exciting. By the way, here you can see Chicago. Do they give up a lot of second chance points to their opponents? Not so much. So Chicago, we know that this is not a team that gives up. In fact, there they are. They give up the 9th fewest second chance points. They don't give up many offensive rebounds, anything like that. They also are number 1 in the NBA. They give up the fewest fast break points to any team over the last 15 games. So they run, and yet they're very hard to run against. So a couple of key things there for the Lakers to try to deal with in this one. But here's what's exciting. Here's what's exciting in all of this. So again, Chicago, high volume from 3. Chicago, really good controlling the defensive glass. Chicago, really good running off of missed shots. They're not going to force a ton of turnovers. But if you miss, they are taken off and going the other way, and that can be a problem. Here's what's exciting, though, is that Chicago, when you look at their shooting, and particularly the shots they're giving up, what we're seeing with the Chicago Bulls, when you look at how close defenders are, the Chicago Bulls are giving up. When we look at an open three-point attempt, the Chicago Bulls are giving up over the last 15 games the most in the NBA. The most in the NBA from behind the arc that the Chicago Bulls are giving up. That's bad. They're giving up nearly 17 open threes per game. But this is why this is good. This is why this is good. Check this out. Opponents are shooting 31.8% on those open threes. That's not sustainable. Regression will hit. Chicago, in other words, Chicago, during this stretch, they've been very lucky that opponents have been missing open threes. League average from 3. Just across the board, league average usually floats right between 35, 36%. So the Chicago Bulls, team shooting 31.8% from deep against them, that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. That number will come back around. Teams are not going to shoot that poorly, especially on open threes. And if the Bulls are giving them up at that volume, eventually teams are going to start hitting from deep. And I believe this Lakers team is one that can certainly do that. And especially because we know they can generate a lot of open threes. Defenses spent a lot of time paying attention to Luka. And Luka is one of the very best in the NBA at reading what the defense is giving you. They're either going to be trying to take away the lob to Jackson Hayes, which a lot of teams have been, and thus leaving open the outside shot. And that's where, welcome back, Rui. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He will torch them all night long from behind the arc in the corner. Dorian Finney-Smith can knock them down. We know LeBron is a fantastic three-point shooter. Austin Reeves can knock them down. I believe that, look, an off shooting night is always possible, but if you give the Lakers 20 open threes, they're going to hit more than 32% of them. And that, I think, should spell doom for Chicago. So when I look at the recent stretch of pretty solid play, to me, there's a giant red flag that some of this has been luck and not so much the Chicago defense really being this high caliber defensive group. I think this is more teams have missed a lot of shots. And then the Chicago Bulls, what are they doing with those misses? They're running off of them and they're scoring in transition. Once those numbers start to return to normal and teams are hitting their wide open threes at a normal rate against Chicago, that is going to lessen Chicago's opportunities to run, which is how they're generating a lot of their points right now. And we're going to see that Chicago is not really quite as good as this recent stretch would suggest. Now, getting into some of the specific players that the Bulls can throw at you here. Look, again, this is by no means should the Lakers just think, oh my God, we're going to steamroll this team. This is going to be easy. But keep in mind that, especially when we look at the last 15, one of the reasons why they've been so successful is you've got Kobe White has been on a tear. Over the last 15 games, he's averaging 25 points per game. He's not shooting well from deep, but he's getting up 8 attempts per game, getting to the free throw line 5 times. Josh Giddey, look at the rebounding, double-digit rebounding for Josh Giddey. He's almost averaging a triple-double, 10.5 rebounds per game, 8.3 assists for Giddey right now. He's lighting it up. 23 points for Josh Giddey. And by the way, and this, again, talk about not sustainable. Josh Giddey is shooting 52% from 3. Over the last 15 games. Want to take a look at what he's doing on the season. I promise it's not 52% from 3. Josh Giddey on the season shooting 37.8% from deep, which is still a big improvement for him, but he's on a hot streak right now from behind the arc, so regression is bound to hit him at some point. We look at the points for Kobe White. On the season, he's averaging 19.8. So again, I think all of this is being created. The Josh Giddey scoring, the Josh Giddey rebounding, the Kobe White scoring opportunities in transition. I think a lot of this is coming from an unsustainable cold shooting streak for their opponents on open shots that Chicago is, rightfully they're running on and doing a nice job there. Other than that, Chicago, if we look at on the season, Trey Jones can knock down 3. Zach LaVine not on the team anymore, so don't have to worry about him. Vucevic is shooting 40% from 3 on the season. That's the other. This will be an interesting thing here, and will be very helpful if the Lakers get Rui Hachimura back. Nikola Vucevic can do damage in the paint, 10.1 rebounds per game, averaging 18.7 points. Vucevic, he's older. Perhaps there's some signs that he could, and you look at Vucevic over the last 15 games, he's shooting 53% from 3. Again, not sustainable. Regression is coming for the Bulls at some point. But you see the points in general have dropped. He's shooting hot from 3, but 47% from the field overall. He's shooting worse from the field than he is from 3. That will flip at some point. This is where Rui coming back could matter because Vucevic has the kind of size that might be a little bit tough for Jackson Hayes, where maybe you want Hayes kind of playing center field and a Rui being physical with Vucevic. LeBron can get physical in those situations. So that'll be something to watch. How do the Lakers defend Nikola Vucevic? What does that look like? Is it Jackson Hayes getting the nod there? Is it some of their sturdier power forwards, if indeed LeBron and Rui Hachimura are back? What can they do to contain Josh Giddey and prevent him from being just on the run all game? I do expect a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith, a lot of Jared Vanderbilt to help pester Josh Giddey out there on the floor. And I feel pretty good going into this game overall. Again, I think it's important that we recognize that, yes, Chicago can hurt the Lakers. Chicago has ways of hurting the Lakers. And in fact, they've done a pretty good job over their recent run here. But when I dig into things, when I look at the way Chicago plays, I do think they're benefiting a lot from a cold shooting streak. And what we need to see tonight is the Lakers say, well, we ain't shooting 32% from three on wide open looks all night. We're going to knock down 40+%, and we're going to send you back home to Chicago. That's what we need to see from this Lakers team tonight. We need to see a Lakers team that is taking those opportunities that the Lakers are giving them, and they are knocking those shots down. Now, Chicago, this is the middle of a 6-game road trip. They still have one more game against Denver on Monday. So this is not the final game of the road trip, which can often be a trap game. So I would expect, though, this should still be a fairly road-weary Chicago side, but not the final game where you're looking ahead to getting home. So you don't have the trap game dynamic here in this one. Okay. So again, that's what we're looking at in this matchup. I do think, look, the Lakers, they're a 10-point favorite for a reason. They should win this game. I have confidence the Lakers are going to knock down the open looks the Bulls are going to give them. That's going to prevent the Bulls from running like crazy, but the Lakers defense does have to be prepared to get back in transition. That's how the Bulls like to attack you, and they have to do their job on the offensive end. We can't see sloppiness. We can't see unforced turnovers. We can't see bad shots being taken. We need to see the offense generating good looks. This is an okay defensive team. Right now in defensive rating over the last 15, they're like 11th. But again, I believe that's misleading because I think there's some luck factored in here with the 3-point shooting. So if the Lakers can score efficiently against the Bulls, they're going to be in really good shape because that will go a long